Hey guys, so today's video is going to be all about my favorite affordable slash drugstore foundations. I say affordable slash drugstore because there are a couple of these foundations you can't get at your local Walgreens, Target, CVS, Walmart. I think one of these is like an Ulta exclusive, and then some of these you can only get these online. But regardless, most of them you can get at a local drugstore, and they are still really reasonably priced. So that is why they are still included in this category. One of you guys recently requested this on a video, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't remember the last time I spoke about all of my favorite drugstore foundations in one. I also don't remember the last time I did my favorite high-end foundations either. So if you want to see a high-end version of this, let me know. But today we are going to be talking about all of my personal favorite foundations at the drugstore. I actually just got a bunch of L'Oreal True Matches in the mail, like the original True Match. I haven't tried this out in years, so I actually want to try that out tomorrow. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but okay, so I'm not gonna go in any specific order. This isn't like from best to worst or anything like that. I'm just gonna grab one, talk about it. Although I do have like a top 3, and I will talk about it as I go. And if there's a drugstore foundation I've mentioned in the past and it's not here, maybe I got rid of it because it was old and then I just haven't used it again, or I haven't repurchased it, like my Bourjois Healthy Mix Serum. I used to love that foundation and it is pretty affordable, but I got rid of mine because they were super old, so they are not in this video. So it really just depends, but currently right now I love all of these foundations so much. Let's start off with this one. I have spoken about it quite a few times on my channel, and there was a while where I was using this a lot and then I kind of stopped, started using other things. But this is the No7 Lift and Luminate foundation. You can find this brand at Walgreens, at least that's where I purchased this foundation. They also have this at Target, I believe. But it is hypoallergenic, it has SPF 15, it says it's supposed to firm and even the skin. I don't know if I feel my skin getting firmer or if I feel that lifting effect this claims to have, but I do really love it. Oh my gosh, you know what's weird? I just went to search this up on Target and it says Lift and Luminate Triple Action Serum Foundation. But that's not what they say. This is just Lift and Luminate Foundation. Let me check Walgreens. Interesting. It also says Triple Action Serum Foundation. Mine doesn't say that. Did they change this freaking foundation? I'm a little bit concerned. I don't know if it's the exact same foundation, and I don't want to sit here and talk about it without trying that one, because I don't know if it's the same. I'm gonna go to Walgreens next week and I'm gonna buy that foundation and I'm gonna test it in comparison to this, because they're named the same, only that one is like a serum foundation, the new one, and this original one is not. I don't know if this is discontinued or not, but just in case they are similar, I do really love this. This foundation gives you such a youthful glow. It's very natural. It does have a tacky finish, so if you have oily skin, I would definitely recommend to set this. Even if you have dry skin, unless you have super dry skin, I would still set this because it does have a little bit of that tackiness, and it can slip around and get onto clothing if you're not setting it, but it just looks so fresh and natural. Every foundation settles into my smile lines, and usually the dewy ones are the ones that really settle into my skin. And even though this is dewy, I don't find that it settles into the lines too bad. Like, I noticed it starting to settle after a few hours, so I really like that. I think it lasts a nice time on the skin. It's not super long wearing or anything, but because of the finish, I kind of expect that. It also doesn't have super extreme coverage. It has more of like a medium coverage, light to medium, but you can build it up. This does have SPF 15, but I don't think it really shines through all that much. It's a very mild flashback, but it's there, but like a little bit. Okay, let's talk about the Revlon Colorstay foundation, but this is the one for normal to dry skin. They have two different types. They have the oily skin one and this one. I love this foundation, and I have been loving this foundation for years now. Every time somebody tells me they want a foundation from the drugstore that's gonna look really great in photos, that's gonna last all night, but it isn't gonna look too heavy or cakey, I always recommend the Revlon Colorstay, the one for dry skin. I just think this one looks so beautiful on the skin. It still has that very flawless finish. It has full coverage, so it still has that makeup look, but in the most natural way possible. Your skin just looks flawless, like completely flawless. I remember the first time I wore this, I was blown away. This is actually the first foundation I have ever used. This is the first foundation, not this one, but this was the first foundation I had ever purchased. I had no idea what foundation even was. I called my friend on the phone and I was like, what do you recommend? And this is the one she told me to get, and I have been loving it ever since. It looks awesome in pictures, it looks awesome on the skin, it lasts all day, and it doesn't look too cakey. I freaking love it. I can't say enough good things, and I don't use it that much anymore, especially not on camera, and I don't know why, because it truly is amazing. And when I first bought this, it didn't come with a pump. They started adding a pump years later, which, thank you, Revlon. It has a perfect finish in my opinion, because it doesn't look too matte, but it's not dewy by any means. Yeah, I cannot get enough. I highly recommend. So the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Luminous makeup has become one of my favorite super dewy drugstore foundations. I believe that this foundation is exclusive to Ulta, because that's where I picked mine up. They also have the Light Illusion concealer that I have been loving recently as well. I've kind of been mixing it a lot with my Jouer concealer, and I have just been loving how flawless that Flower Beauty concealer is. It's very, very nice. In all my demos, by the way, I am applying all these foundations with a foundation brush, and I feel like that works beautifully with all of these foundations. Sometimes I do prefer a beauty blender, but for these, I really like them with a brush. Even with the matter ones, matte, I still love how they apply with a brush. This one especially, I feel like sometimes when I use a beauty blender, it kind of makes it a little bit too dewy, a little bit too sheer. If you have very dry skin and you want that super glowy, almost glass-like skin, I would highly recommend this. I always use a priming moisturizer underneath all of my foundations, so I'm giving you my review based off of that. Like, I always have something moisturizing underneath all of my foundations. So obviously this on top of that just makes it even more dewy, but it looks so beautiful on the skin, super fresh, and like your skin is naturally that hydrated. Like, you look very hydrated. And at first when you're blending this out, it kind of looks like it's sitting on top of the skin. My favorite way is to really press the brush in and really make sure you're really buffing this out and blending it in to get a nice seamless blend. It is also tacky when you're done applying it, so I would recommend setting this unless you like that super dewy look. You can leave it alone. The only thing I don't love is that it kind of settles into my smile lines almost immediately. I have to put down like a mattifying or like a pore filling primer right here in this area and then go in with this, and then I find it's fine, but it does settle quite a bit because it is so dewy. But regardless, it's still really beautiful, and I would say it has light to medium coverage. Oh, I also didn't notice a major flashback with this guy either. I mean, I know it has SPF 18, but I didn't really notice a flashback. Oh, if you want to know the shade names of all the foundations, I have this one in Nude L3, 250 Fresh Beige and Colorstay, and Warm Ivory in this foundation that seems to not exist anymore. So Colourpop launched their no filter foundations, and everyone went crazy, and it was really nice. I really do like that foundation, especially in my T-zone. That foundation just doesn't settle into my lines. I don't know, it's magic. But I don't love how it looks on the rest of my skin, so I don't really reach for it all that much. But ever since they came out with the no filter foundation stick, I really like these, especially deep dark, but I use this to contour, so not so much as a foundation, so that's kind of cheating. But I use this one all the time. But I really enjoy the foundation stick. I love that it's just so convenient, it's so easy to use. You just swipe it on your face and blend it in, and that's it. It's perfect to travel with for that reason. It's not in a glass. You're not like pumping things out and getting liquid everywhere. It's like this nice solid stick, and I really like that. The only thing I don't love about this foundation is that it's a bit harder to blend. Like, I have to work with it a little bit more. It's not as slippy and glidey as like my liquid foundations. I do have to spend a little bit more time blending it out, but once I do, I feel like it looks so incredibly natural on the skin. It has like that second skin effect, kind of just evens out my skin tone, makes everything look smooth and natural. And much like the no filter foundation that's in the liquid, like in the bottle, this doesn't really settle into my lines all that much either. When I look at my foundation at the end of the day, it's not like stuck and sunken into my lines like it usually is. It does a really nice job of just like staying put, and I'll even notice that in the lines of my forehead. It's not like, you know, it doesn't get in the lines all that much, which I really appreciate. Thank you so much. The only thing I wish is that it was easier to blend, and I wish it had a bit more coverage. You can build it up, but I mean, I put on quite a bit and I still feel like I get light to medium coverage. But I mean, it is buildable, it is buildable. You can apply more and get more full coverage. But that would be like my main thing about it, is that it's kind of hard to blend out. But besides that, the fact that it doesn't settle into my lines and it lasts all day and it looks so natural, like I really do like this guy. Plus it's so convenient. I freaking love little foundation sticks. I feel like this one has been my favorite out of all the foundation sticks I've tried that are affordable. Actually, I have this one. This is the e.l.f. moisturizing foundation stick. I haven't even tried this, or I've tried this and I don't remember how I feel about it. So I'm gonna give this a shot before I say that's my favorite affordable foundation stick, but so far it is. And I am in the shade Light 50W, and I contour with Deep Dark 190C. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about 2 more foundations before I jump into the 3 matte foundations that I love and I think really work for dry skin. I wanna talk about the CoverGirl Healthy Elixir foundation because I was a Healthy Elixir hater for a while. I did not like this foundation at first. I saw that so many people liked it, but it just felt so average and like, to me. You know what I mean? But like, you know when one of your favorite YouTubers likes a product so much and then you don't really like it and you're like, that's weird, why don't I like it? I like everything you like why don't I like it? That's how I was feeling about this with Raw Beauty Christy. She loves this freaking foundation and I was like, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? So I just started using it more and more and more, especially off camera. I was like testing it out with different primers. I was mixing it in with other foundations. And it turns out I do really like this foundation. The more I used it, the more I liked it. And every time I put it on, I was like, wow, my skin looks real good. My skin looks real healthy, real glowy. I ended up really, really liking this. And that happens to me sometimes. Sometimes I really don't like a product before I really, really love it. Does that happen to anybody else? It happens to me all the time with everything in my life. It's kind of weird. I love this foundation because honestly, it doesn't take much for you to look pretty. It's very weird to explain. You almost have to experience it for yourself. And I didn't really notice it until I started testing it next to other foundations. But this has like incredible spreadability. This is a very dewy foundation that manages to have really, really great coverage, which a lot of the times is not the case. Usually when you have a super dewy foundation, it's usually like light or medium coverage and it just spreads so easily. Like you don't really need a lot to get a lot of coverage. It's not as dewy as my flower one, so if you're into that very, very, very dewy look, I would say this one is more dewy, but it still has that really beautiful glow, especially when you move your face around. That dewiness is still very much there. Your skin looks very healthy, and it lasts a very decent amount of time on the skin. Usually, dewy foundations just break down easier, and I find that it lasts a really nice time on my skin. My skin stays glowy all day, but it still manages to have that lightweight feel, because like I said, you don't really need a lot to get a lot, so your face doesn't feel like very dewy and tacky and like foundation-y. Another great thing is, even though it is dewy, it doesn't settle into the lines that badly. I feel like my Light Illusion foundation settles into my lines just a little bit more than this one does. I mean, it still does, but this one isn't as bad as this one. I still love this though, by the way. They're both really excellent. The only thing I do not like about this is the scent. Oh my gosh, I hate the way this foundation smells. And I know hate is a strong word, but oh my god. Every time I apply this to my face, it has like a strong perfume chemical scent, like a powdery perfume chemical. I don't know, I do not like how this smells, and honestly, I stay smelling it on my face for a couple of hours. Not the whole day, but I stay smelling it for a little bit. So, I mean, I'm not crazy about that. And by the way, I am in the shade 725. So if you ask me right now, Kathleen, what is your favorite drugstore foundation? Honestly, looking at all these foundations, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. But one thing's for sure, I have been using and abusing and adoring and loving this foundation ever since it came out. It's definitely my most used drugstore foundation this year for sure. This is the Healthy Foundation from Physicians Formula. This has SPF 20, it has brightening complex, whatever that means, and I love it. I love that it has this like doe foot applicator, even though that can be a little weird and probably not super hygienic, because I rub this on my face and then I dunk it back in here, so probably not the best. Squeezy tubes are still my favorite foundation packaging, but I'm not gonna lie, something about this large doe foot is kind of fun. I like spreading this all over my face and painting my face with it. I have these two because I always mix these two shades. This one is way too light for me and this one is too dark, but the other ones in between are like too pink. I hate the color selection in this foundation. This foundation has a lot of cons. The packaging is one of them. Oh, I was about to tell you that I drop everything and I don't like that this is glass. And I almost dropped it in that moment. I don't love that it's glass, so I cannot travel with this. I just don't trust myself traveling with this. It can break and get everywhere, and I'm not a fan. I also don't love that it's pretty pricey for a drugstore foundation. I mean, it's Physicians Formula, so what do you expect? Everything of theirs is kind of pricey for drugstore. So not a fan of that, not a fan of the color selection. Just a few things I don't like, but I'm obsessed with the finish of this foundation. This blends like a dream. I feel like this is the fastest blending foundation I have. I will paint this all over my face and blend it out with a brush, and it like blends out in seconds. It's not something I have to try to work into my skin like my flower one. You know, I don't have to sit there and press and blend. This looks good no matter how you apply it. Even with your fingers, you just put it on your face and it's like, boom, done, beautiful. It's the foundation I'm wearing on my skin right now. And I'm not gonna lie, this one does settle into my lines. It settles into my lines quite a bit. I mean, I've had this foundation on since 12:30 p.m. and it's 5:30 p.m. So I've had it on for 5 hours, and this is what my foundation looks like after 5 hours. I love that this stays looking natural for a really long time. It doesn't claim to be super long wearing, but on my skin, I feel like it lasts all day on me, and it's just, nobody talks about this foundation. I feel like I hear everybody talk about all the other foundations, and it's like nobody likes this one. It could very much be the color selection, and maybe a lot of people have a hard time finding their shade. I totally understand that. Physicians Formula, do something about that, please. Drugstore brands in general, do something about that, please, because I find that to be the case with a lot of drugstore foundations. But anyway, this foundation is so lightweight, it's so breathable. Like, I don't feel like I have foundation on my face. I did set my face today. I don't always do that, by the way. This has a very natural finish. I wouldn't say it's like super dewy. It just looks like skin. It's literally the perfect name. Your skin looks so healthy, like if it's your own freaking skin. And I also like that it has hyaluronic acid in it, which is really good to help hydrate the skin. It has SPF 20, and I do notice a slight flashback, but I never really wear this foundation at night, so I never use it in photography or anything like that. Okay, so my last 3 foundations are definitely considered matte foundations, but I would say these are perfect for those of you with dry skin. The first one is no surprise. This is the Maybelline Matte and Poreless Foundation. This is the one for normal to oily skin. They do have another Fit Me that's just strictly for dry skin, and I have to actually buy another one because I ran out of mine, and I love that one. That one is really, really nice if you have extremely dry skin. This one is their matte version, and I still do this because I don't feel like it's matte. I would say it's a satin finish. This looks so beautiful on the skin. It has a beautiful velvet finish that lasts all day on my skin. This foundation takes me through the day, and it doesn't settle into my lines, which I totally appreciate. It also really does make your pores look a bit smaller. I'm not really into pore filling primers, so sometimes I will notice my pores look a little bit larger with certain foundations. With this foundation, I notice that they do look smaller. It does a great job of masking the pores and just smoothing out the skin and kind of blurring your skin a bit. It has beautiful coverage. The Revlon one has a little bit more coverage. I would say this gives you like a medium coverage, but you can build this up to full, and you can use this at nighttime and not really worry about flashback in your photos. The only bad thing is that this does not come with a pump. I actually had to buy this pump off of the MAC website, and even then, like, it doesn't really stick all the way, you know. It's kind of slanted. I mean, it stays there, it's good. It's not coming off, but I mean, well, actually, it almost came off there. It's not the best pump, but at least it's a pump because this foundation doesn't come with one, which, hello, Maybelline, it's 2018, come on. The LA Girl Pro Matte HD High Definition Longwear Matte Foundation is one of my favorite affordable foundations out there ever. And I'm so upset that I don't use this more often in videos. And I feel like I had that realization with my Catrice foundation the other day as well. These foundations are stunning. I don't know which one I like more, to be honest. I find them both to be very similar, but the Pro Matte from LA Girl, I actually like a little bit more than their normal Pro Glow. I think it's called the LA Girl Pro Glow. You would think I love that one more because it's Pro Glow, and even though it is beautiful, it's glowy. It reminds me a lot of the Makeup Forever foundation. It does have a nice finish. I like this one even more. This one lasts longer on my skin. The color selection with this foundation, it's not so much that it sucks. I think they have a lot of shades. It's just that a lot of them are kind of pinky, so it's hard for me to find my color, but I mix soft beige and medium beige together because this one is a little bit too pink for me. But even then, this combo is too dark for me. Like you can see in the demo, this foundation does not match me anymore. This is definitely my summer shade, and I loved using this in the summer, especially off camera. Whenever I was gonna go anywhere and spend all day doing something, because it's such a nice long wearing foundation and it manages to stay looking flawless all day. It honestly just looks like your skin, only a little bit more matte, a little bit more smoother, a little bit more flawless, more perfected. The coverage is really nice. It's a great mixer. It's great on its own. I love the lasting power. It looks great in pictures, so I love it. I highly recommend that, and it's so affordable. I love it. Another foundation that's super affordable, this one is very similar to this, and this is the last one I want to talk about. This is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. It says it's mattifying, it has second skin effect, and it lasts up to 24 hours. I would definitely agree that it has that second skin effect. It's very similar to the LA Girl one. A lot of you guys were telling me that it's very similar to the Fenty Beauty foundation, which that one is pretty matte. This one is as well, only it doesn't look drying on the skin. Even though your skin is matte, it doesn't look foundation-y, cakey, or dry at all. I mean, if you're applying like 10 layers, possibly, but a little goes a really long way with this guy because it does have great coverage. It has full coverage, and it perfects your skin. And it's such a freaking affordable foundation. It's crazy. They recently expanded their shades, which that's another issue because on the Ulta website, they have like 3 colors, which is very, very weird. But on the Catrice website, they have like a bunch of shades. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but the formula of this guy is really, really nice. The only thing I don't like though is that it's very similar to the Healthy Elixir in terms of it smells like really bad. Actually, it doesn't smell as bad as the Healthy Elixir. This has a baby powder scent. Literally, this smells like a baby's ass. A baby's ass once you've like... Forget about wearing this sweater again without washing it. Oh my god, it's all over my pants. And it's all over my floor. That's what I get for making fun of a baby's ass. Oh my gosh, do you guys want to literally faint right now? I'm about to gross you out so bad. So bad. I just went looking for this because it fell out and it rolled underneath my vanity. Like underneath to the crevices where I can't get with my duster. You know what I mean? Like down there. There's like a bunch of dog hair and crab on these. I'm gonna go wash this, hold on. Obviously, all these foundations can be altered by your primer, your setting spray, the powders you're using on top. It really depends on what you're using your things with. Sometimes the combinations you're using don't really work. I'm so glad this video is almost over because if not, I would have been staring at that the whole time. But anyway, guys, these are just my personal favorite drugstore foundations at the moment. Leave me a comment down below letting me know your holy grail drugstore foundation. Like out of all the foundations you've ever used, what is your holy grail cannot live without foundation? Like just one. Don't put 2 down there. Don't put 2. Don't put your top 2. Oh, I can't decide. No, no, no. Your favorite, the best one. Leave it down below. But anyway, guys, that completes this video. I hope you enjoyed. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. But you know, like when someone, or like when your favorite, ow, I just hit myself so hard. And I feel like this one has